Hello YouTube, this is Ben Gessel. How's it going? In this particular video, I'm going to talk about shopping habits that I've noticed that may have changed somewhat over time for me. Well, you'll see what I mean. Um, the biggest thing I should mention is that, again, when I was younger, basically when I started shopping for myself after and I lived off campus in college and on. It didn't really matter to me so much where I went shopping, so long as I got some stuff that, tasted good and was fairly nutritious. I was kind of in the rudimentary stages of figuring all this stuff out. So I go to, any place, and this was in Ellensburg, Central Washington. I would go to, Fred Meyer, I go to Albertsons, or, and I probably got a fair bit of meat, but not too much, and definitely some fruit, and meat and fruit were kind of the tastier stuff. I tried having some veggies, but I didn't really have a whole heck of a lot of vegetables. And if I did, it would be something for like a stew or something, and anyway. But I started realizing, I was like, oh, I'm making my vegetables taste better than whatever vegetables I ever had on campus, because they cook the snot out of that stuff. And that was, when I first shopped for myself. And then there was the ways I would eat when I was younger that my parents or my mom just made stuff, So there's a little link there. So then, fast forward a little bit, living in Linwood area, I got to the point where I was kind of narrowing down a little bit more what I was comfortable with, or what I liked, or where I shopped. Increasingly, it wasn't so much Albertsons, Safeway, Fred Meyer anymore. It started to get more into Trader Joe's a little bit at one point, and then I was like discovering farmers markets, and eventually Whole Foods and PCC natural markets, and the higher end places and stuff. But there was a time when I was going to these little produce stands that were maybe the best quality stuff, like Country Farms or Yakima Produce, and anyway. So now get to the present, I'm shopping more at sometimes QFC for general things, and occasionally someplace cheaper, or just more conventional like Albertsons, or Safeway, but it's not really very often. And even Trader Joe's is becoming a little less often than it used to be, but it's very slight. It's increasingly PCC natural markets, and Whole Foods. I just it's like a double whammy. I might go there one of these days, but since I'm going PCC so much, it's kind of Anyway, there's some more kinds of stores. So now I'm going to mention a little bit more in general what an average 2-week of shopping trip for 2 weeks looks like for me. In general, I'll get some kind of starchy vegetable. I'm thinking more potatoes. Rarely sweet potatoes, but it's generally something like corn or potatoes. Organic corn, of course. Organic potatoes as well. But I'll at least get one kind of we'll just say carb heavy vegetable. I'm not talking about carrots. That's the next. The next thing in here is two to four fresh vegetables. So these are all salad vegetables, as well as anything that wouldn't be frozen that you might cook, just sort of like lightly saute, that sort of thing. Or there's always exceptions. Onions are also something else I should mention here. At least I'll get on average every shopping trip a few onions at least as well. And by the way, quantity-wise, we're looking at kind of several potatoes that are organic, but no more than several, really, per 2 weeks. Several is actually quite a bit. It's more like sometimes even 5 or 6, just not all that much. And then, again, a few onions, at least. Actually, sometimes 2 to 4 onions. And that's every 2 weeks or so. 4 is quite a bit of onions. It's more like 2 or 3. And then with the fresh vegetables, again, it's celery, carrots, lettuce, maybe a cucumber or something else in that fresh vegetable area. Frozen veggies, 3 to 5 different types of frozen vegetables. Sometimes I'll go heavy on the broccoli, so 2 bags of broccoli on average. So with frozen vegetables, it's looking like more like spinach, cauliflower. Aside from broccoli, it's spinach, cauliflower, green beans, and something else, some other kind, Swiss chard maybe. And then 3 to 5 fruits, especially oranges and berries in the summer, but oranges year round for the most part. And so the other fruits, of course, would often be apples, or bananas, or grapes, or something different. And then don't buy frozen fruits. Generally, there's no real reason for it. I just don't have a blender, and I just don't really, But, it's still fine to buy. I'll get, on average, 1 kind of nut, seed, bean, oil, or avocado, or olive. At least 1 kind of food like that. At the most 2, but generally more like one of those kinds of foods, because they're so calorie dense. Anyway, and then, at least for a lot of that kind of stuff. 1 to 3 kinds of fish per 2 weeks. But sometimes I'll skip it. 2 to 4 kinds of meat, poultry, and egg. Again, with fish, this is all high quality stuff. If I get more conventional animal meat, fish, whatever, it's usually at a restaurant, and try to cut down on that stuff. And KFC is just a really rare thing, that sort of thing. It's just, I know the chicken there is more unhealthy. So, no dairy, except occasionally grass-fed butter. 1 to 2 kinds of herbs, spices, or condiments on average per shopping trip. I think herbs are the real solution to eating more vegetables with more enjoyment. Put it that way. Herbs. And, adding some lime and lemon juice on top of your salad and stuff. But fresh herbs are just amazing. But they're a little pricier, but you have to use them really quick. So when you use them, it's like it just makes salads come alive. But and herbs are the secret, I think, to making vegetables taste better. So 1 to 2 kinds of something relating to something I'm going to drink. It could be water, purification filters, plus herbal tea. Could just be like a berry juice. Cutting down on juice still, trying to. It's not coming from me sometimes. It's coming from roommates or the people I live with. So people want to give me their sugary stuff. I'm like, when I live on my own, it's going to be different. The downside is I won't have the free food option, but the upside is I won't have to have someone else's sugary stuff that they're always giving me. Anyway, at least I won't feel bad for rejecting it, and I don't feel like I have that temptation as much. No grains. I don't buy grains except occasionally something like a garlic French bread or pasta or something. That's occasionally. Definitely not every shopping trip. Supplements every so often, but it's not a huge priority. And some 1 to 2 non-foods. So that's in general what I buy every 2 weeks or so, sometimes longer. But of course, a lot of this stuff will overlap. This is kind of an average. Some days I'll go heavier on some of these things, other days less so. But man, I tend to go through oranges still. Oranges are a lifelong love of mine. Oranges. And not so much the juice, because I try not to have so much juice these days, but more just oranges. So that's why I'm critical of how the quality of my oranges. I like oranges to be top-notch. Otherwise, I'm like, it's a bit of a letdown. But yeah, oranges and probably chicken with meat. Chicken is also kind of, even though some other types of meat might be tastier, chicken is just more economical. Even the organic or pasture-raised stuff, it's pretty economical. And for me, it's just one of those oranges and chicken. if you don't get oranges or chicken on a shopping trip, something is wrong. Like they ran out of chicken or they ran out of something. I don't know. Or the oranges are all really poor quality. Anyway, I'm gonna head out here. I know I've made a lot of food stuff recently. I'm gonna try other videos here in the near future as I have time and energy. But I will talk to you guys later. Take care. Bye.